Welcome to the Mackinac edition of Great Loop Lifestyles. I'm Kim Russo with America's Great Loop Cruisers Association, and today we're covering both Mackinaw City and Mackinac Island. So starting off with Mackinaw City, we tied up at Straits State Harbor, and it's a lovely marina. The staff is really helpful in making sure you get tied up safely and that you have what you need. The docks are in great shape. It's just a really nice place to stop. We ended up leaving the perch there for about 2 weeks while we did some travel off the boat for work. So we were kind of in and out of there, using that as home base to drive to other places in Michigan and down to Chicago for an AGLCA event. But the marina, there are lovely views from there. You can see the Mackinac Bridge, also known as Big Mac. There is a fishing pier for those of you who enjoy fishing. And every Tuesday and Saturday nights, there are fireworks that you can literally see from just about any boat. It was in the lake kind of next to us, but it looked like it was coming, right off the dock. So really nice view and some really nice fireworks for a pretty small town that does them twice a week. Right next to the marina is a park where there are also concerts every Tuesday and Saturday. So with our in and out in the 2 weeks, we were able to catch a little bit of two of those. One was kind of a band local orchestra that did some show tunes and some marches, and another was a soloist who sang the blues, and he did it very well. Just a word of caution in the park, there are lots of geese there, so watch out where you step. As you move from the marina kind of along the lake shore there is a Coast Guard icebreaker, and you can tour that, and there's a museum set up for you to explore. And then there is a ferry. There's actually a ferry about equidistant from the marina in both directions. The one I'm showing you is the one we ended up taking to explore Mackinac Island. But as you continue, as I said, walking along the shore there are several little parks that have beaches. So if you're a beach person, you can have an afternoon there in the sun on the beach on a beautiful shore of Lake Michigan. And continuing around, you will come to the old Mackinac Point Lighthouse. This was built in 1889 and is now also a museum you can tour. And then one of the attractions here is also the Fort Michela Mackinac. Hope I'm pronouncing that one correctly. It was originally built in 1715 by the French, eventually taken over by the British and then abandoned and burned in 1781. But it is an active archaeological site and has really been rebuilt to kind of explain the history of the fort. So it's an interesting tour that you might want to take while you are there. You, of course, have a beautiful view of Big Mac from here, and you can see the crystal clear water. This area of the beach right here is pretty rocky, but as I said, there are others that are sandy and lovely beaches. During our time there, we did get a chance to check out a few restaurants. I can recommend Taste of Asia if you are just looking for some takeout to bring back to the boat. Really, really good. We both enjoyed what we had, and I had something that was more in the Thai spectrum, and Michael had something more in the Chinese food spectrum. Both dishes were great. The Keyhole Bar is a local favorite, known for their wings and for their whitefish. We tried both of those and enjoyed it. The Hook Lakeside Grill is really the closest thing to the marina. It's a really short walk, and we ended up eating there twice. Well, at least I did. I was dined solo there one evening and had a really good salad with some whitefish on it. And then we went with a group of 12 loopers without a reservation, and they were able to seat us immediately. They did have to separate us into 2 tables of 6, but they were very accommodating, and everyone enjoyed the food there. And then the other one we ended up at a couple times was the Rusted Spoke. Tuesday seems to be the night in Mackinaw City where a lot of restaurants are closed. So that was the reason for the second trip to Rusted Spoke. This is a brewery, so if you are a beer drinker and like to sample a lot of the local beers, they have many choices for you. And I also really enjoyed the food there. Some of it is kind of, burgers and other sandwiches and bar food. But they also have lots of salads and lots of entrees as well. And they're really kind of known for their barbecue. So the Rusted Spoke was a good stop. There is a bakery right in the heart of the downtown area. They have good breakfast sandwiches and coffee. And it's also kind of a nice place to stop in and do some work if you just need to get on the computer and want to get off the boat for a bit. The Sweet Spot has really good ice cream. Huge assortment of flavors. And it was excellent. If fudge is your thing, you will find it all over Mackinaw City as well as Mackinac Island. Mackinaw City is really kind of a big tourist beach type town with lots of t-shirt shops, lots of fudge shops, but there is a lot of shopping you can do there. There's kind of a little mall that had some live entertainment some of the time as well. But kind of to circle back, the ferry to Mackinac Island is an important factor here, and it is one of the things that makes Mackinaw City a good option for the Great Loop. Mackinac Island is a highly recommended stop for loopers. It can be challenging to get reservations at the marina there if you don't plan way ahead. And there can also be some pretty substantial wakes from ferry boats that are coming in and out constantly. And it's not, according to some loopers, very well protected. So if there are some waves and wind from certain directions in the harbor there, it can be a pretty bouncy ride being tied up. That said, from what other loopers say, there is nothing like being on the island at night after all the tourists leave or in the morning before they get there, because the island is a little bit crowded at this time of year with tourists. We took the Mackinaw City option because we didn't want bad weather to potentially strand us on Mackinac Island when we knew that we had lots of other places we had to be. And we didn't make a reservation ahead of time. So, but Mackinac Island is really not to be missed. If you're not familiar with it, it is an island that has no motorized vehicles allowed. So there's no cars on the island. Because of that, when you arrive on the ferry, the first thing you may notice there on the main street is that there are bikes everywhere. And the bikes are how even the locals use to get around. So a lot of people will take their bikes over with them on the ferry. This town is just almost, I thought when I was there, kind of Disney-esque. Walking through the main street there, if you've been to Disney World, it reminds you of Main Street USA and Disney World. And some other loopers mentioned that after I had thought that, and we didn't coordinate that comment. So more than one person has thought it reminds me of being at Disney World. But you can take a carriage tour, which is a great way to see a lot of the island and kind of set the baseline for what else you might want to go see. So they'll take you through town. They'll take you up some of the hills, and you will get to see Arch Rock, which is one of the tourist attractions there on Mackinac. You can also get off of the carriage at the fort. Now, I wasn't super excited about that, to be quite frank. I felt like we've seen so many forts along the way, and it just felt like another fort. I could not have been more wrong. I am really glad that Michael said, no, let's go to the fort. First of all, it is very different than some of the rustic forts you will find elsewhere. Apparently, being assigned to Mackinac Island was considered a pretty privileged assignment because it was already kind of a summer vacation type spot. So you can tell from some of these pictures, this is not a rustic fort. But one of the best parts was the view from the fort. Was probably the best view on the entire island. There is a tea room there, but it's a full restaurant. We had lunch there, and these pictures are from the restaurant. So just a gorgeous view of the harbor and the downtown area. There is another fort on the island, Fort Holmes. You have to walk to that one, which we did. That one was a little bit more disappointing. It's at the highest point on the island, and we were told there were 360-degree views. There were, but a lot of them were blocked by tall grass and things like that. I just enjoyed the view from the lower fort, lower down, that you can get to more easily better. You can take a private livery ride to the fort. And this is also not the original fort up there at Fort Holmes. This is a reconstruction of what was once there. It was a longish walk, but one of the things that was wonderful about having done that is that we came across the Grand Hotel's stables while we were there and got to see some of the horses in the immaculate tack room. And there are also probably 20 or 30 historic carriages there that you can take a look at. So that was really a nice thing to see. But of course, the big attraction on the island is the Grand Hotel. And you will get your first look at it from the carriage ride tour if you do that first. Obviously, as you can see from these pictures, guests there arrive in style. And some of the best views from the Grand Hotel are from the front porch. And it is famous because it is an enormous front porch. You can sit there in a rocker and have views of the harbor, views of the Mackinac Bridge. You can order drinks out there. It's just a lovely spot. The cupola is also recommended for drinks. We did stop up there. I didn't feel like the view was as nice because you're looking through windows instead of just in the wide open. I should also mention that you can walk through the hotel. The whole thing in and of itself is kind of like a museum, but they do charge you $10 per person if you're not staying at the hotel to go up there on the front porch or any of the bars, or even to just walk through the hotel. I thought it was well worth it just to see it, but just know that there is a fee to go with that. One of the things that fascinated me most about Mackinac Island was how you run a city with no motorized vehicles. So you can see that we saw some freight carriers. Um, in fact, our tour guide on our carriage tour told us that she had stayed on the island the previous winter, and her job was driving a freight car with Amazon packages to the 500 or so locals that remain on the island. So all that is done by horse and carriage. You can see them taking luggage to the Grand Hotel with the horses pulling those carts along. And even at the police station, you can see that their vehicles are bikes, and there was a sign, police bikes only. There is a post office. They do not any longer deliver the mail, I'm told, from the post office. You actually have to go to the post office to get your mail. But there's even taxis, horse-drawn carriages that serve as taxis. There are horses that pull the equipment to do some street cleaning and things like that. So really just an interesting trip. Just a note that Mackinaw City and Mackinac Island, the Mackinac part is spelled different. With the C on the end, it is the French spelling. The W is the English spelling. So that's a little bit of an oddity you'll see there. But definitely a stop not to be missed. And if you can stay there on the island at the marina, definitely do it. We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Great Loop Lifestyle. We will be back soon, and our next stop that we will report on will be Charlevoix, Michigan. Thanks for watching.